goals of the conversation that we're starting here with this conference. We have a lot of stakeholders from many countries around the table, including China. And the goal of this conference is to begin or add to the ongoing conversation about what kind of guidelines are needed, what's the promise and what's the peril, in a sense. But Joanna, you mentioned in your remarks the military being at the table when the UK was designing its guidelines. Does the military really abide by these guidelines, and should we be concerned about this idea of lethal soldiers? And we already see drones that can operate, and I used to be a journalist. I covered a lot of wars, and I saw for the first time when I was in Afghanistan, we saw the Predator drones come in. They have a human guiding that drone and making the decision on when to fire. But as I read about what's going on with AI, particularly in the military field, particularly with U.S. agencies like DARPA, if I'm a commanding general, I would like to have a soldier out there who can't be harmed. I'm not gonna, should we worry about these armies of drones with the ability to kill going forward and having no human at the controls?
Right. There is such a good question, and I'm sure we both are dying to answer it, but I'll go first since you asked. Can we trust the military is a very interesting question. Actually, the military, because their lives are constantly at risk, are incredibly concerned about protocols and how do you handle. And so, for example, the American military, once an artificial intelligence device is deployed, it becomes strictly the problem of the operator. Now, that's not necessarily fair. Maybe the manufacturer made a mistake, but that's the way that they make sure that they have clear responsibility and clear lines of responsibility. So in some ways, because they are in a strange situation, they actually have better and more careful rules. Now, that doesn't mean that I think the whole situation is okay. The one thing I've learned, which is really interesting, is that the difference between being in a war and not being in a war is that soldiers can preemptively kill people even when they're not in danger, but police can't. And so it actually is really important that, that one of the principles of robotics is that outside of war, robots cannot kill. And that makes sense. That's actually the meaning of being a police person, is that you would only use lethal force in the context that your life is in immediate danger. And a robot's life cannot be in immediate danger. It doesn't have a life.
Yeah.
And then finally, I should pass over, but I do want to say, this is why I left the United States and went to Britain, was because in 2001, the only funding for the kind of AI I did was basically battlefields of the future. And I didn't think it was ethical to work on robots because I was worried about not so much the decision making at that time, but that the disproportional force. And we have seen, unfortunately, since then, a war that's gone on longer than any previous American war, partly because American lives aren't at danger. So there are a huge number of ethical problems here. And okay, one last thing. Pakistan has brought it before the UN, this issue about drones.
Sure.
So honestly, I'm conflicted about, because it seems to me better to have targeted assassinations than to carpet bomb conscripted soldiers as we did in the first Gulf War.
Yeah.
But the people who are living under it say this makes life intolerable. Constantly hearing this buzz and know that you could be killed makes life intolerable. So I respect the people who are living there, and I look to the UN to solve this problem.
Okay, great. Wow.
Okay. So first of all, the conference didn't think about warfare and something like that, military things and so on, because of maybe you know that the Japanese Constitution, Article 9, prohibits war.
For now.
For now, yes. And after World War II, we became peace-loving people. And so it didn't say anything, but only the principle of ethics mentioned that we should obey a kind of international humanitarian law or something like that. So from now on, this is my personal opinion, not the conference opinion. I think that maybe, I'm not sure whether you've ever seen a movie, Robocop, remake version, not the old one. And a remake version referred to a robot, robotic military, something like that. So it's very suggestive, I think, and so it's very, for example, the dangerousness of the soldiers would be decreased by, and so we can, evade a situation like on searching for private lion, something like that. So I can understand, but as you mentioned that we should, some say that we should put human in the loop, because finally, someone, human being must be responsible. Otherwise, the situation would become a vacuum of responsibility or vacuum of liability. So we should evade that kind of situation. So it's a very tough question, but I heard that, for example, in Afghanistan, a kind of a robot made by the iRobot would search the cave, terrorists hidden there.
Yes.
And the human soldier would be killed by searching for that kind of situation. But our robot would search first and so protect the American soldiers.
Sure.
So that kind of result, I think, suggests that maybe those kind of use would be helpful for soldiers.
Yeah. Okay, I want to say to the viewers out there that we're having some technical issues here. This is a think tank, not a technical institution, and so we're not getting your questions. So please stay tuned, and we'll keep trying to fill the space.
No.
No?
We have questions. We have questions, the
No.
old-fashioned way.
It's
No, we don't.
basically, no. Please keep tuned for further.
Keep tuned for further interviews on intelligent machines and smart policies.
And we're going to stop it now.
So we're done now.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your questions.